Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal 2. The rematch is in store between these guys. I don't think it was the most high demand rematch of all time, but Masvidal, a lot of name value, did take their first fight on just 6 days' notice. I do believe there was probably an agreement that he'd be given a title shot once again. For him, this is an immediate rematch. We know Usman went out there and beat Gilbert Burns very impressively in his last time out. Now the fights Masvidal again. That first fight wasn't great. You look back at the first fight, a lot of work against the clinch, obviously in favor of Usman. Pretty much every round was a victory for Usman, and most of the judges' scorecards, I do believe one had it 49-46. Out of the takedowns that Usman shot for, he went 5 for 16. Did land those 5 takedowns, wasn't able to do a ton of control from the top position though, but now he's specifically training for Jorge Masvidal. I know Masvidal's saying, hey, I'm now training specifically for him. I'm going to be ready. This is a different game. I do feel it favors Usman here. It's a different fight. Usman, his work against the cage is phenomenal. His jab has gotten a lot better. His physicality is very impressive. I mean, his physical strength is going to be very tough for Jorge Masvidal to deal with. Granted, Masvidal does have some really good takedown defense. It is something we have to talk about. He's a striker that stops takedowns extremely well. 77% takedown defense, whereas Usman does bring in a 47% accuracy. Granted, fighting very difficult opponents. He chain wrestles. He's going to mix it up. It's not going to be one shot. He averages about 3.22 takedowns over the course of 15 minutes against Masvidal. Last time he had 5 takedowns throughout the fight. Pretty realistic percentage there. I do feel like we will see Usman land takedowns again. I think Usman does want the finish of Masvidal, so I do think we could potentially be in store for a slightly better fight than the first one, at least for the first round or two. But I feel like it's very hard to beat Jorge Masvidal striking. He's an elite level striker. Granted, Wonderboy Thompson did it, but he's a freak of nature. He's the craziest striking style you'll see with that karate. Usman doesn't have that. I think Usman may try to mix it up a bit. I think Masvidal will get a couple licks in, and then I do feel Usman's going to go towards the game plan that won him the first fight. Clinch work, foot stomps, and takedowns. Do I think he wins more impressively here? I don't truly believe so. I actually have grown to like Usman a lot more since the fight with Masvidal. Seeing that Gilbert Burns fight, I was very impressed by him. He got a very impressive win in that bout. Masvidal is a different test. He doesn't pose the threat when the fight gets to the ground, which is going to cause for Usman mixing it up with a lot more takedowns than he would do on Gilbert Burns. The striking range, obviously, Usman does have the advantage with the reach, 77.5 to 73. His jab has looked very good. I do think from the outside, he could maybe hit Masvidal with a couple jabs, but Masvidal's boxing, a bit more experienced, definitely a lot more dynamic the way he moves. He's just such a more natural striker. I mean, the guy was doing backyard striking only fights, bare knuckles with Kimbo Slice back in the day. You have to note that Masvidal is a better striker of the two. I do think Usman, though, he knows how to win this fight. He did it once before. I believe he does it again. I think we're looking at maybe 4 rounds to 1, 5 rounds to 0. I hope I'm wrong here and we see a hell of an entertaining fight and we get a stoppage between these guys. But I just feel Usman by a unanimous decision is an extremely realistic outcome. He has a very good chin. He's taken big shots in prior fights and ate them well. He's worn Masvidal shots before, and I think he will not be significantly affected again. Granted, I do think Masvidal will land a couple clean ones, which will make Usman go into, it's time to get this fight against the cage and to the ground. Usman, unanimous decision. The odds minus 400 to plus 315. Let's check out some prop bets while we're here. If Masvidal is to win this fight, it's going to be by a knockout. I don't really see it any other way. The Masvidal win by KO brings you around a plus 400 to plus 450. If you're looking for that prop bet, you want to take a chance, maybe sprinkle a little something on it, but I do think the percentage likelihood of this happening is extremely low. I think it's a lot more likely we see Usman win. I do think Usman's a good parlay addition. He's proven tough, good chin. He's not an easy guy to beat. I mean, nobody in the UFC has solved the riddle yet. I don't think Masvidal is the guy to do it. I don't see the matchup in the favor of Masvidal whatsoever here. I don't think Usman finishes Jorge, though, unless he was able to get him to the ground and really bulldoze him. But I think Masvidal's capable with his grappling defense to stop that. And I feel like Usman winning this fight by a unanimous decision is a very likely outcome. It's a minus 125. I don't love the prop bet. Personally, skipping the prop bets for Usman. If you want to sprinkle a little something for fun on Masvidal by a knockout, you definitely can. Or even just a Masvidal wins inside the distance is sitting at a plus 470. It's actually better to bet on Masvidal inside the distance than it is to bet on him by knockout. At least on one of these odd sites, this is 5 dimes. Granted, your bookie may differ. I like inside the distance or, Masvidal by a knockout. I think realistically it's got to be by a knockout or TKO if he wants to get the win. But I think Usman beats him again by a decision. Lots of control like the first time. I believe he had, I have the stats here. Actually, I'll quickly look at it. He had, in that first fight, control time. Oh, rather, we don't have the stats for that first fight. But let me quickly pull up the stats for the first fight because now I'm just curious to see what that control time was. That first fight, I mean, it was clearly Usman's. There were obviously good moments for Masvidal with some of his punching, but he was significantly outstruck. 16:38 as far as control time. 16 minutes and 38 seconds. Sorry if the screen looked a little weird there with the camera. Probably didn't have it perfectly cropped. But 16:38, I think he's going to do a lot of control time once again. Usman, unanimous decision. He gets it done over Masvidal. If you want to have some fun, sprinkle a little bet on Masvidal by knockout. Don't be putting the house on it. I don't think the likelihood is very high. Usman for the victory. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I will see you all in the next video.